Before we get into it, if you enjoyed these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button, and keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as, investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that.
All right, folks, here we are on Sunday, February 16th. We're going to take a look at NIO today. So NIO is maybe getting to an interesting point. Now, before I talk about the levels that it's hitting and where it might be going, let me just preface this by saying, because people get, really angsty in the comments all the time, I know the long-term trajectory that has befallen NIO. I know that the chart looks like this. I'm aware. My goal here is to look for opportunities where it might show some promise, even if it's short-term promise, right? For maybe a swing trade like you saw back here, if you bought maybe in the 3s or even at 4, rode it up to mid-5s or something. If you bought in down here, right around 4, maybe mid-4, and rode it up to like 7, right? You can catch those even in a stock that just has tragedy written all over it for long-term stockholders, right? And that's what I'm doing here. I'm looking for potential areas for movement, for breakout, for outsized moves. Not to keep saying the word moves, but that's why I'm here. And so what we've been tracking for a while is this downtrend resistance. We have this very questionable, I would say, uptrend support. The uptrend support is much more questionable than the downtrend resistance, not just because of the overall long-term view that I just talked about with NIO, but because it's only really confirmed it in this one swing range, whereas the downtrend resistance has been confirmed once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. But now it has broken through it, and this has been happening more and more, right? You see back here, it was falling shy of even being able to reach the downtrend resistance. Then it reached it, then it reached it again, and then it started to move a little bit through it. And now it's putting out a candle that's fully outside of the downtrend resistance, and it's pinned between 2 levels that we have on the chart. And we can zoom in and take a look at those. 436, right? It was working off of it all day. It came within a fraction of a penny, right? It came to 455 today. The level we have on the chart is 455.3. So we have a fraction of a penny on there, but basically for all intents and purposes, it hit the level on the dot, came back down, and basically convalesced through the rest of the day at the 436 level that we have in the chart. So it's respecting the levels really well. You see prior days how it's moving off of them here, how it's shrugging off of them there. So it's rejecting them to the upside, and it's showing support and bouncing off of them to the downside and moving through them that way. Now, this is the full candle outside of the downtrend resistance. So what does this mean? Maybe nothing. It may get sucked right back down into it. It may draw down near it and start just following it outside of the downtrend resistance, but essentially putting in the same movement, right, of dwindling down. But if those things don't happen, it could either move relatively sideways, right, consolidate into a range. That's like, chart pattern 101 in terms of looking for a breakout, right? Look for a lengthy consolidation phase. And so it could do that, or it could move, right? You could also look at this as a double bottom, right? It banged down here really hard, right? It had a lot of red days, back to back to back, -4, -4, -3.5, -2.5, right? And a brief consolidation, came off, tried again, failed, but it got picked up right in that range again, right? That $4 level has been a strong buy range, at least for the time being. Yes, at some point buyers run out, but this could end up looking like a bang down, another attempt, and then a double bottom, and then a move, right? This could be the beginning of a move. So we'll see. I know I'm covering all the options here because we're one candle in, right? So I don't want to try to predict the world on one candle, but could this be the beginning of a move? For sure. And it will likely, in NIO fashion, show itself one way or the other pretty quickly, right? You don't have to wait a long time to see if something's busting or not, right? Like this was zoom up, consolidate, zoom up. And then after it got up, it was like, I am going to rush myself back down. It came from almost $8 on September 30th. And by 2.5 weeks later, it had come from almost $8 down to almost $5, right? So it's not just, pitter-pattering around. Like, it shows it to you. And you can see pretty decent consolidation phase here, and then move down, another decent consolidation phase here. At the moment, here's my question, right? Do we get the counter move, the move up? But breaking that downtrend resistance, putting a full candle body outside of it, not saying that it's going to, win it awards and it's going to be your best gainer ever, but it at least gives it an opportunity to do something different. I don't know that it will, but it has a chance. 455 is the level where we saw it move off of today. If it can work through there, the next strong level that I have on the chart, 536, I would imagine things get pretty sticky here around like that approach to 5. So just call it 490, right? 485, 490. Looks like it's probably sticky to me. I'll leave it off the chart for now, but it's that psychological approach to $5. It's sort of what you would expect. What are the round numbers? So psychological approach to $5, just know that might get kind of sticky. We'll see. If we pop these off for a moment, see what things are looking like on the EMA side of things, here's the other thing. This is my favorite setup. The 183 EMA is within striking range, right? It just hit it back here, shrugged right off of it, right? Failed attempt to break through it here. Nothing moving. And then right now, it has the potential to throw bullish crossover on these short-term EMAs. The 8 could cross over the 21, and then both of them could cross over the 34, and then we could get motion toward the 183. This would be potentially a much nicer boom if we were able to get all of that in motion and to get those short-term EMAs to cross over the 183, then we might have some racing capability. That's what happened back here when it consolidated right along the 183, and you got the crossovers, right? And it really boomed up, but it couldn't hold it, right? Boomed up, couldn't hold it, tried to run right back at it, and again, it just couldn't hold it. So can it get a more fluid motion through it this time? Sustained action above? Maybe. We'll see. But I do, in general, like this setup because it's very apparent if it's moving or if it's failing pretty quickly. And if you have a good strategy and a good plan in place and you follow the plan, not to say you can't lose on the trade, but if you're following your plan, you shouldn't be losing, crazy amounts. So that's part of the reason why I like the setup. And there's just plenty of run room to the upside, right? Obviously, there's reasons that stocks get crushed like this over time. So, from a fundamental perspective, yeah, that still is certainly the case. But NIO is a name that if it gets some legs and it gets, a little juicy, I don't know what would hold back retail from wanting to run in there with, anything with some name recognition and being in the EV space and whatever else. Okay, volume-wise, big shelving right where it is, right? It's sticky and stuck right in the midst of some big shelving, but it's at least not treating it as resistance as it was down here, and it is very much in the thick of it at the moment. So can it get some motion up here where the shelves are a little thinner, and it can get some nice fluid motion? Maybe, but it at least brings some opportunity to do so as it's working its way through. It's the closest that it's been in a while of trying to make another run at these levels where you see it sort of pressed previously and then ultimately got pushed off. We can take a quick look at the think or swim side of things. It is triggering at the moment. So that's the other thing. We had trigger and fire back here, nothing really happened. So now we sort of have a re-trigger and fire. If it can get motion to the call trigger, I know that's a lot to ask because that's all the way up at 503 at the moment. It does have a +1 ATR all the way up to 733. This is not to say that it could get there, but just to give some other sort of benchmarks, some other goalposts to maybe keep an eye on. To the opposite end of that, to the downside, put trigger at 361 with a -1 ATR all the way down to 131. So, it's quite a range, but that's because in the last several months or so, NIO has been moving through tremendous range. All right, folks, so I hope that you are having a nice weekend and that you have a good trading week ahead. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.